I'll be explaining both for paper-based tests and computer-delivered tests. So what's going to happen here is that for your paper-based tests, you would be getting, or they're going to give you, a total of 40 minutes. A total of 40 minutes to finish the test. Okay? So 30 minutes will be played for the audio. And then once the audio is done, they were going to give you 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Okay, so paper-based test would require you, they're going to give you a question booklet and at the same time an answer sheet. All right, so what you're going to expect here is that you can write anything here for paper-based tests. All right, you can write anything here. You can draw whatever you want. It's fine because at the end of the day, they're just going to throw this away. So do not worry about, for example, committing mistakes. If you find an answer to be wrong, you think you change your mind, you change your answer, just cross it out. It's fine. Okay, no need to rub it off. Okay, just cross it out. Okay. In your actual test, you're only going to be given, pencils. Okay, when it comes to this. So you don't need to worry about, having a mistake here. The most important thing here is in your answer sheet. The answer sheet that they're going to give you because they're going to scan it. They're going to send it to Cambridge for marking. Right? This is for paper-based tests. As for your computer-delivered tests this time, since you would technically input the answers to the question booklet itself from the computer, then you don't need to transfer your answers. So what's going to happen here is they're going to give you 30 minutes for the audio, okay, and then they're going to give you additional 3 minutes just to check and go over everything. All right, so this is the difference, okay, between the two. All right, now what's going to happen here is, in your listening test, the first thing that they're going to test you here is those 3 skills, okay, that you need, which is you're not only going to listen, but you're also going to read and understand the information. And then when you're going to hear the answer, you're going to write. So they're testing you on 3 skills at the same time here, right? Which is, you're actively listening while comparing and reading and then writing as well. Okay. Now, this test will assess how well you understand the main ideas and specific factual information. Okay. It also tests you on how you'll be able to recognize the opinions, the attitudes, and the purpose of the speaker. Right. Aside from that, okay, they're also going to see how well you follow the development of an argument. Because in here, in your listening test, you would be dealing with conversations, from different people. Okay, and at the same time, you need to understand what they're saying. In your actual test, they're not going to give you the specific information like what you read. Because if you're going to see here, okay, I'll be sending you one later. Okay, but if you're going to check, if they're going to say first name or last name as a question, they're not going to say first name. What's your first name? What's your last name? Instead, they're going to say, what's your given name? How should I call you? Okay, that's it. All right. So make sure that you're not going to focus on specific words from the question booklet, but the idea itself. The idea is what we need to grab. All right. Okay. Next up is, you would be dealing with 40 different questions here. And at the same time, those 40 questions will be divided into 4 sections or 4 parts, which is the elementary level, pre-intermediate level, intermediate, and upper intermediate or advanced. Okay. Right. Now, in your actual test, this is what you're going to expect, okay, to see when it comes to the test, basically. So if you're going to take a look at this, it would say notes, Christmas dinner, right? So in order for you to better understand what you need to look for, okay, what you need to do here is you need to check, okay, you need to check and read what you need to find. Okay, they're always going to explain the situation for you, so you don't need to worry about listening to, for example, listening to them mentioning about this and so on. All right. So I'll be sending this one. Okay, hold on. Let me send this to you. Then I'll open a copy of mine as well. Oops. Hold on. I think that's the answer sheet. So I'll send you the audio as well, so you'll be able to do it later. All right, give me one moment. I'll send it later. So let's continue. Okay, so what you're going to expect here is they're going to be explaining the situation. Okay, so what you're going to read. So for example, here, notes and then Christmas dinner, right? So what's going to happen is you would see questions number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So in each and every section, okay, since I mentioned earlier that it would be divided into 4 parts, what you're going to expect is, this is for part 1. Okay. So take note before you start listening to the audio, they'll be explaining everything. They're going to explain that this is your IELTS test. Your test would cover 40 different questions. Each test would be this and that and so on. And then before you hear section 1 or part 1, they're going to explain the situation. So they're going to say part 1, you would hear a conversation between 2 people discussing their plans regarding the Christmas dinner. That's it. And then they're going to say, first, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Right? So meaning for sections 1, sections 2, and sections 3, they're going to split the questions and the audio into 2 parts. So meaning you need to handle 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you need to check and read numbers 1 to 4. After that, they're going to play the audio, okay, for that specific number, those numbers. And then after the audio is done, they're going to say you would now have a half a minute to read questions 5 to 10 this time. So meaning the remaining questions, right? So they're always going to split the questions into 2 parts for sections 1, 2, and 3. Okay. As for section 4, it's different. So I'll explain later. Okay. But the point here is they're always going to give you enough time to read the questions and check the questions as well, right? Okay. So there. Now, what you need to focus here is during the time that they're going to give you, for the time, let's say the half a minute or some time, they're going to say some time. Okay. You need to focus on questions 1 to 4. Do not mind the other information that you think you do not need, because the point here is to understand what you need to find. So you can use these headings, as your guide in order for you to understand what you need. So, but the thing here is, for example, they're going to say you would now have half a minute to read questions 1 to 4. So that means the most important information to take note of here is this, the heading, Christmas dinner, and then choices for venue, a place, right? So number 1, first choice. Number 2, second choice. Number 3, third choice. And then number 4, telephone number of the third choice. So if you notice, I disregarded this. I did not read this because I do not need it. It's already given. Okay? I do not need to know this, or I do not need to focus on here as well. And then this as well. Okay? So these are all the information that I need. Right? So this is what I'm going to focus as well when it comes to reading the questions. Similarly, okay, here, for example, I don't need first course. I need main course. I need main course because it's number 6. Okay, number 6. 5, it says here, vegetarian food. I need to read that. I do not need to mind a price per person because it's already given. This is what you need to do. Now, when the audio starts playing this time, you're going to then use the other information as your guide. So if you hear the word 21st December, then of course, you know that they're already talking about this part. Next is choices for venue, okay? And then first choice, and then when you hear the word first choice, or not really first choice, first. I was thinking, the main choice, the main restaurant that I want to eat here, for example, in this restaurant. And then they're going to mention the name of a restaurant. So Again, when you hear the word, when you hear their first choice, you're going to then write your answer. Okay, as for telephone number, they're going to say not known. So instead, okay, you're going to hear, let's say, you're going to hear them mentioning that the problem here is we do not know the telephone number. So, okay, let's just wait, or we need to research on that. We need to find the telephone number first. That's it. Once that is done, you already know. You're going to expect that you're going to listen to number two this time. Then so on. So this would be the pattern, right? Okay. Now, once that is done, for example, you finish all of your, all the questions. Now, this is the time they're going to say, you need to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. This is for paper-based, okay? So make sure that when you're going to transfer your answers during the 10 minutes that they're going to give you, it is advised that you have to write in uppercase letters, okay? In order to avoid confusion on the examiner's part. Okay, this is mostly a matter of legibility, right? So if you think your handwriting is okay, right? All right, it's fine. You can just catch up. All right, if you think your handwriting is okay when it comes to your listening test, okay, then it's fine to write normally. Okay, but if you think you're going to have trouble when it comes to, let's say, your handwriting, then it is advised that you need to transfer the answers to the answer sheet. All right, it's fine. You can keep up. All right. So you can take a hold of this first. All right. What's your roll number again? All right. September 1. Okay. Today is listening. Okay. You're a little late today. Yes. Yeah, but it's fine. You can catch up. It's fine. I'm just taking the overview. All right. So I'll just try to keep up. I'll explain later for you. Okay. So this is your answer sheet. So the answer sheet. Okay. Now let me just get a quick overview. Okay. In your listening test, you will need to deal with a total of 40 minutes for paper-based test. Okay. 30 minutes will be given to you for the audio. Okay. So when you hear the answer during the audio, quickly write it down on the question booklet, not the answer sheet, the question booklet. Okay. You can write anything there. It's fine. You can draw, you can draw yourself, you can draw people if you want to, if you have time. The most important thing to take note of is you can write anything there. Okay. At the end of the day, they're going to throw it away and then they're going to check the answer sheet. Okay. Now, since I mentioned earlier that you would be dealing with, they're going to give you 40 minutes to finish this. 30 minutes would be for answering and listening to the audio. After that, they're going to give you 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Good, that's it. All right. Okay. So this time I'll be explaining, okay, what you would expect in your actual exam. So I have sent, let me pause this. What test did I give you? Homestay, right? Okay, so I'll be sending another test for online as well. So at least both online and on-site will be on, we'll be talking about the same thing. So let me just send this and then homestay. Homestay application. Seven. Okay. So just give me one moment. What you're going to expect here is they're going to be giving you this one, let's just say homestay application. So in your test, your total test, you need to deal with a total of 40 different questions, and it will be divided into 4 sections. Recently, they changed it already. It's called parts now. So 4 sections or 4 parts. Okay. So section 1 or part 1, you would expect that the questions here are the easiest to handle together with the audio. Okay, because in here, this is called the elementary level. This is just like a warm up for you. So as much as possible, if you need to get a good score when it comes to your listening, you need to at least get 10 out of 10 here. right? Because it's the easiest one to handle, right? If you would notice, okay, the first one, okay, number one, it would say first name, right? So first name. So you just need to wait for them to mention the first name. The problem here is that people tend to focus on the same word, same wording as in your let's say question booklet. But the thing here is they're not going to say the exact same word. Instead, you need to focus on the main idea itself. So first name. So they're going to say, "What's your given name? You know, what's your for? How should I call you?" And so on, right? And also an example for that would be number three. For example, it says here length of homestay. Instead of saying length of homestay, they're going to say, "How long are you planning? How long are you planning to stay for this home?" For example, that's it. They're going, and then the person would be explaining or is mentioning the answer. Okay. Now let's take a look at the overview of your section one. So in your section one or part one, what you're going to expect here is you're going to mention or you're going to hear a conversation between two people. Always two people. The things that they're going to talk about would be set in social situations, social everyday like situations. Like survival English is what they call it. An example for this would be like the one that you're holding, and in the or online, the one that you're seeing. This one you're going to expect one person talking to somebody, who is in charge of a homestay, homestay. How do you say? Homestay company, for example. When you're wondering what homestay would be like, it's for other countries wherein some students, international students, who want to opt to stay in a one particular family, one particular household, and then they, of course, they still need to pay, but it will be like a second family to them, you know. So some families, most particularly in Europe, wherein some households also have this, in order for them to at least earn a little bit of money and at the same time provide a home for international students. So imagine for me, for example, if I decide to go back to university and I want to study in Europe, I can opt for a homestay, okay, wherein will be able to choose a family, okay, well, of what depending on my preferences. So, for example, I want a family who has only, I want a family who has children, because let's just say I like children, or I want a family who has only old people, because let's say I'm thinking about my family as well, my main family, so who has old people. So that's it, your preference. This company would be helping them, to look for a suitable family, so at least we'll be able to try and uh, you know live there as well, depending on their preference. That's it. Okay. And another example for part one or section one is let's just say one person phoning, inquiring about a job through phone call. So of course the HR manager would pick up and then they're going to have a conversation related to the job. So what kind of job should this be? I just heard this particular I just got your number from a friend mentioning that they need somebody. So I'm phoning to inquire about a job. That's it. And so it's like conversation based audio. And your goal here is to fill out the forms, fill out and answer all of the questions, right? That's it. This is for your section one. Now take note. Before you start listening to first audio, what you're going to expect here is they're going to be explaining everything first. This test is your listening test, in this one and this one. After that, before you start with section one or part one, they're going to explain this. So you would hear part one or section one. You would hear a conversation between two people talking about, a homestay application. And then first, they're going to say first, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5, okay, or 1 to 6, or 1 to 4. Okay. So for sections one, sections two, and sections three, they're going to divide and split the questions together with the audio into two parts. Okay. That's it. So once that is done, if you would see there is an example already, it says your surname, Uwachini, right? So this is before. Okay, recently, not just not recent, not before, but recently, let's say 2 years back, they started removing the example already. But it won't matter, because it's still the same format. Okay. So in here, since there is an example, what you're going to expect is that they're going to say, uh, after giving you time, after giving you half a minute to read questions 1 to 5 or 1 to 4, the audio would start playing, but they're going to play an example. They're going to play the audio for the example. So first, as you can see, there is an example that has been done for you. And then on this occasion only, the conversation related to this will be played first. Then you would hear the conversation. And then after that, after you catch the answers, they mentioned you with Genie, they're going to continue with the audio this time. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 4. That's it. So the audio starts playing. After the audio starts playing, or after the audio this time, they're going to give you like a pause of 3 seconds, okay, just to concentrate again, and then they're going to say, now they're going to give you time to read the rest of the questions for part 1. So it's going to say, now you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. It's time, so 7 to 10. That's it, right? So this is what you're going to expect for section 1. So it will be the same process. After the audio for 7 to 10 this time, they're going to say, you now have some time to check your answers. Okay, so do a quick check, 1 to 10, check for spelling mistakes, check for grammatical errors, the forms, if it's making sense, your answer is making sense. Check for the prompt as well, okay, because it says here 7 to 10, no more than 2 words. So if you've written 3 words, then of course, automatically it will be incorrect, right? So try your best to think of what the best answer would be there, okay? When you listen to the audio, do not change the forms as well. So transfer, for example, transfer your answers, transferring of answers. So whatever you hear in the audio, that's the answer. Do not change it, especially with dates as well. When you listen to the date, they mention today is 6th. So they mention 6th of October. Okay? Depending on the answer, depending on the question prompt, if it's saying no more than 2 words, since you listen 6th of September, then remove off. It would still be the same, 6th December, 6th September. That's it. If they mention September 6th, then of course September 6th as well. Okay, so do not mix them. Whatever you hear in the audio, that's the answer. All right. So there. Now this is for part 1. Okay, so do you have any questions?
Yeah, like even from 1 to 6, it says write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer.
Mhm.
So if you have like passport number and stuff, so we just write the number there.
As for passport, as for account details, take note, they're going to consider it as 1 word, even if it's too long. And if they're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 9, that's the passport number. But clearly, it's considered as 1 word. So
But it says you
still
can
the
put a
same.
number as well. Like
Yes.
physical number.
Yes, they're going to consider it as a separate, let's say, not entity, a separate figure if you make a space. So 02, for example, and then September, or 06, and then September, and then 2021. Then, of course, it's separate. So they're going to consider it as 2 numbers already, and then 1 word. Okay, but if it's straight away, let's say ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the passport number. Then you're still going to consider it as one word or 1 number. Okay, that's it. Right. Okay, so this time, let's proceed to section 2. So what's going to happen in section 2 this time is what you're going to expect here is there's only going to be one person who's going to talk. Only one person. So this person will be talking about, let's just say it will be a monologue, and this person will be talking about same situation, outside situations, social situations, even, you know. So an example for this would be this, what you see here. It would be a tour. So imagine yourself, going to a different city, opting for a tour guide, so together with a lot of people. So of course, the tour guide will be explaining what you see. So onto your left is a library. This library was established in this and that, this and that. Onto the north, onto your left, okay, beside that, on the corner, and so on. So they're going to be explaining this. All right. So another example here would be, let's say, one person discussing the opening, the opening of a new sports branch, for example, so there's a new sports branch that we're planning to, or that would be open starting on Saturday. This sports branch has everything that you need when it comes to different types of exercises, for example, different types of outdoor activities. On the first floor, you would see this. On the second floor, third floor, and so on. So they're going to be explaining this, and it's your job to match what you listen to, and at the same time, what you are reading. Okay, that's it. They're always going to split the questions into two parts for section two as well. And then as for maps, okay, don't worry about dealing with maps. I'll be giving you more tips regarding everything tomorrow. So that's for tomorrow. Okay, so what you need to do now is just an overview for today. Okay, what you're going to expect in your listening. And then as for the tips, that will be tomorrow. All right. Okay, but this is the point. Okay? They're going to split the questions into two parts. Okay. Once that is done, this time, section three. Okay. Section three, this one is the intermediate level. If you would notice, this is where it becomes tricky. Okay, together with section four, because it's boring. Most of the time, the topics that they're going to talk about would be boring. No, it's not interesting, right? But in your section three, what you're going to expect here, still, they're going to give you time to read questions 21 to 26 this time. If you notice, there's a misprint here. And the first one, it says here, the presentation. It's just T. So first three information here, the presentation will last, and then there will be something minutes, and then the presentation will not be something. And then 23 to 26, what do the students decide? And then just the number from the side, 23, 24, 25, 26. So this is just a misprint there. You've done that test before?
I've given it online.
Oh, okay. I'll change that one for you later.
No, it's okay. What is it? The format is different online?
Format is the same. It's just you just need to fill it out. Yeah. You just need to fill out directly. Okay? You're planning to take computer delivered test?
Yeah.
All right, good. So if you're planning to take computer delivered test, they're not going to give you the extra time.
Yeah, I understand. I know that. I know.
Good.
Because you're directly.
Yes,
exactly. I understand.
All right, good. Okay, so just to be sure.
No.
All right, that's it. Okay, so after that, 27 to 30 this time, then that's it. Okay, you're always going to give you time to read and check your answers. Now, this time, section four, it becomes tricky as well, because there will be a lot of information that most of the time the topics will be boring. So it says here, monosodium glutamate, so MSG. You would be listening to this topic. They're going to explain everything. Okay, and take note, there will be only one person who's going to talk here, right? Only one person. So it will be a monologue as well. As for sections three and sections four, the context there would be about educational context or training context. Mostly for section three, going back to section three this time, what you're going to expect there is most of the time you would listen to 2 to 3 people or 2 to 4 people as well. Okay, so it will be always be a conversation related to educational field or training field. So an example there would be two university professor, for example, discussing things with two students as well. A report, maybe, or you would hear two students talking to a student representative. Maybe these two students are freshers. Like
I get it. Like they just want to know how much you can grasp from the
yes,
text. It gets harder.
yes, that's it. Okay.
The topics will be something. So how do you crack section four? Because I'm sure these topics, even in the exam, are going to be very something that people are aware of. It's going to be something, as you said, very boring.
Mhm.
So what are they exactly? Because is this something that is? I'm sure this is going to be tricky as hell. It's not going to be some. Is it something like that? Yes, no, we're not sure. Is it something like that?
Okay, so don't worry about it. It becomes tricky because a lot of context is involved.
Okay.
Okay, but don't worry because once you know what they're talking about, and then you're matching it together with the questions.
And they have like two options very close to each other, like and then I just the grammar of the
Ah,
term.
okay.
You get what I mean?
There
Yeah.
would be like that. Basically, most particularly when it comes to multiple choice questions, and then I'll be explaining how to deal with that. Okay, but you would expect that, let's say, multiple choice questions, you're going to be hearing all of the choices. But the thing here is, for multiple choice questions, they're talking about a specific question, meaning this is it. For example, main topic of the lecture. So they're going to be explaining, for example, the history, but that's not the main topic, right? They're going to just say the history. They're going to talk about it, but that's not the main point. Okay. Similarly, letter B, let's just say the way glutamate works, and then C, where glutamate is used. So just by reading those three choices, you already know different information already. All right, but let me finish section 4 for now. Section 4, they're not going to split the questions here, by the way. Okay. Instead, they're going to say you would now have some time to read questions 31 to 40.
Okay.
Okay. Once that is done, audio will start playing. Then, after the audio, okay, they're going to give you time to check your answers. That's it. So this is the overview. Okay, now let's take a look at different question types. Okay, what you're going to expect here in your test, because you would need to deal with a lot of question types, mostly let's say 6 different question types. So we're going to talk about the first one, which is fill in the blanks. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you some tips on how you'll be able to deal with um, fill in the blanks. So I want you to take a look at the last page. You would see last page. This is mostly fill in the blanks. Okay. So let's just say 35. So how do you deal with this? Mostly during the time that they're going to give you, okay, you need to focus on what you need to find. So basically, you can use some of the headings to understand the main context, but at the same time, for other information that you think are not needed, then you can ignore that for now because you would hear it in the audio anyway. Okay. Always remember as well that most of the time, everything will be in order. They're not going to confuse you wherein they're going to start with 40, for instance, and then go back to 31. They're not going to do that. Instead, you would find some variables as well wherein they could mix it, most particularly when it comes to two close questions. And it's talking about one topic. So, for example, 35, 36. Okay, maybe you would hear 36 first and then followed by 35. Or let's just say 37 and 38. Okay, but it's close. They're not going to have a lot of time to pause. So that means during this time, during the whole test, do not just focus on one particular question. Do not focus on just one particular information. Instead, try and read 2 to 3 questions at the same time. So it's like you're guarding. For example, for me, what I usually advise paper-based tests is use their offhand. Okay, this is my writing hand, this is my offhand. So I would point at 34, for example, this finger, 34, this one is 35, 36. That way, these 3 fingers are pointing at 3 information at the same time, and I'm getting a wider view of what I'm listening. Said. Okay, as for computer delivered test, I think you can do that as well.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
point to the screen.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
a good cue.
Okay, but it would be quite different for you actually because when you hear 34, of course you have to type and then go back and type again.
No, but they give us time. I think you can write it. They give you blank piece of paper.
Yes,
I
but
mean, I can write, and then I just have to.
they're not going to give you extra time to transfer. Only 3. They're going to give you paper just for it to help you.
Yeah.
And then they're going to give you extra 3 minutes to check everything. That's it. 3 minutes is not enough to
I
type.
think honestly, when you do these 40 questions, you know what, because normally what happens, I mark like what I'm like, shit, I don't know what 34 was. So I just put a star next to it. And then I move on because you don't have time to, wait, what was he trying to say?
Exactly.
You just mark it and then okay, 35, 36, 30. Then when you're done, you put on like, shit, what was 34? You just take a call. Yeah, but as you said, it's yeah, right. Even here, right, no more than 2, 3, or 2 words. So, I mean, I think this is because I did this. I scored 7.5 in this thing.
That's good. That's good. 7.5,
So-
32, maybe 32, 33.
Yeah, but yeah, as you said, this 7 is probably the last one we lose points. So that's with that. And yeah, my writing was 5.5. My reading was 7.5. So it's basically listening and reading.
Is
You
okay.
can score high. Writing is it's on the topic on that day. So I was like, in speaking, I felt that I could do much better.
Mhm.
Maybe what because again, when you practice, it's a random topic. So,
All right. But don't worry, we're going to cover everything.
yeah, I know. That's what I was like. That's my fear. So it's okay. All right. Okay.
All
So fine. I'll write on this. Should I do?
All right.
I don't know. I'm thinking, should I do writing based or computer based? I don't know.
You can try both. This is for everyone. Okay, you can try both for now. You can find a lot of websites offering free online practice tests as well.
The mock test
Unfortunately,
we're gonna do is gonna be written or
yes, written. Unfortunately, what you can do instead, you can try and bring your laptop, for instance, and then you can try and opt to open a Microsoft Word and then just write the answers there, okay, side by side together with the questions. So that way, at least you'll be able to try and partially practice
right.
computer based. Because as of now, I cannot find a software, okay, that could imitate, let's say, a mock test regarding your
No, it's
IELTS
okay.
test. But
It's okay. You know what? The only advantage of online is just the writing aspect, where that's you don't know how much you've written, and it's very time consuming, and you're mentally exhausted at one point in your life. Now you want me to count the number of words, so at least that count is always there. So it's okay. It's not
all right, all right. So anyway,
right. So let's start.
okay, hold on. Let me just finish the few tips regarding how to handle different question types. Okay, so this is it. For fill in the blanks, what you need to do, just quickly skim. Skim and read quickly. 35, for example, 35, 36. It says here, glutamate found foods contain protein. You know, in foods that contain protein. So foods that contain protein, that's your clue. That's your clue already. So similar with what you're going to listen, and then they're going to mention two things. Two examples, such as. So in order for you to catch everything when it comes to fill in the blanks, make sure to understand what's missing. Okay, for example, 34, MSG contains. This is a heading. It would help you. Ignore glutamate, ignore sodium for now because they're going to mention it anyway in the audio. Your focus here is 34. So your clue, glutamate, sodium. After that, they're going to mention the answer. You can also consider 9.6% as a clue. That's it. Now, so contains. That's it. So this is how you're going to deal with fill in the blanks.
Is the spelling, if it's incorrect, it's wrong?
Yes, you have to be careful about the spelling as well. Right. But anyway, don't worry about it because we have prepared a list actually. So you'll be able to find it in the two PDF files. Do you have the PDF file?
Yeah.
All right, good. It's fine. You can. I'll just show it to everyone. This is in your We Know IELTS Better PDF file. All right. And then what you're going to see is we have compiled a list of the most commonly repeated vocabulary words in your listening test. So you would find a total of 1,200 most commonly repeated words.
Which page is that on?
7. Physical page 7. Yeah, so you would notice here. So if you're having trouble when it comes to spelling, then you can try and check this at least. So you find these words are the most common, even until now. They're still being common. All the tests as of now, they're still common. So what you can do, you can check this as well if you're wondering, if you're worried about spelling and everything. So just check. Underline, what I suggest is underline some of the words that are unfamiliar with you, or you think, I said, you think of a spelling that's not here, for example, a different spelling, basically. So underline all these words and then write them down. That's it.
Okay.
All right. That's it. Okay, so this time, we're going to talk about multiple choice, how to deal with multiple choice. So there are two options actually when it comes to dealing with multiple choice. The problem here is that a lot of people have a hard time when it comes to multiple choice. Is first they get confused with the choices, but the reason why a lot of people get confused is because they do not focus on the question, what they need to find. Once you determine what the question is asking from you, then it will be easier for you to wait for them to mention the same specific answer. And then And then you just need to answer. All right, so hold on. Okay. Okay, so but anyway, okay, let me go back. Okay, so this is the first approach, because a lot of people tend to forget what they need to listen to, what they need to catch. Okay,
Right.
if you manage in your actual test, either computer-based test or paper-based test, what I advise is underline for paper-based, underline the keywords from the question to help you understand what you need to find. In computer-delivered tests, you can highlight. Okay, and it's the same. So for example, number 31 says here, speaker says the main topic of the lecture. Okay, so the main topic, you need to understand the main topic before you answer A, B, C. Right? So what is the main topic? Once you figure out what the main topic is, then you can just answer.
Right.
Similarly, 32, in 1908, scientists in Japan. So what happened? 1908 scientists in Japan, what were they doing? Did they made a discovery? What did they find? For example, you know, 33, what change occurred in the manufacture of glutamate in 1956? So change occurred, manufacture 1956. Okay, you don't even need to underline glutamate anymore because you already know that's the main topic, right? So what the change? What happened? Changes that happened during the manufacture in 1956.
Right.
And then if you listen closely, you would be able to identify the correct answer. Exactly. Even if they mention everything,
Right.
since you already know what you need to find, then it will be easier for you to handle. That's it. Okay, this is for multiple choice. The next question type, this time short answers. For short answers, you have to be careful about this as well. So they would say write one word and a number. Okay, write no more than two words. Okay, so no more than one word and or a number. So I want you to take a look at 21 and 22. Okay, this time. This is a short example of short answer. All right. So it says here, no more than one word and or a number. So if, for example, you see this and then you heard the answer, let's just say 20 balloons, for example, just an example, okay? 20 balloons. Do you think that's still correct? Write one word and or a number.
If I have the options to balloons, then
Yes.
I'll just write, but I have to only write one word.
Yes.
So if there's already 22 mentioned, but that's the question, will not be.
Just an example, the word 20 balloons, don't mind the question for now, but the answer, you heard 20 balloons. If you're going to write balloons, if it's specific, if it's asking specific, then balloons is not enough. You have to write number. But the thing here is 20 balloons is still correct. Why? Because the prompt is saying no more than one word. So balloons is one word, and then 20 is one number. The word here, the clue here is and. Okay, so the maximum here is one word and one number. If you've written two numbers, then it's incorrect. If you've written two words, it's incorrect. So the maximum is one word and one number. All right, so do not get confused here. A lot of people get confused. They remove 20, thinking that, only one word. Okay, but the thing here is the word 20 is a number. So
Right.
that's it. All right, so you have to be careful about that. So short answers mostly, it's a combination of these, fill in the blanks, fill in the gaps, and so on. But you have to be wary about the prompt. Right? That's for short answers. Next one, how to deal with maps or diagrams. So maps or diagrams, you have a map here, I think. Do we have a map? Yeah, okay, so 15 to 17. Okay, so how to deal with this? Most of the time, if you would see the compass, saying north, south, east, west, then of course, the first thing that you need to take note of here is where you are standing. As you can see in the middle, it says there you are here.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine that you're also there. You know, the good thing about maps and dealing with maps is to imagine that you're part of the conversation, you're part of the tour. So if the tour guide says on to your east, okay, so of course the east will be in the stadium. You would find the stadium, swimming pool, indoor arena, station, train station, and then number 15, and then that's it. After that they're going to say onto your south, onto your west, onto your north. Northeast would be the stadium. Southwest would be, number. Let's say there's no southwest there. We'll be able to see it. Northwest would be the trees and so on. So this is your guide. Okay. Similarly, if you did not find north, south, east, west, they're just going to say direct. They're going to give directions like onto your left, onto
Right.
your right. So make sure that you're not going to rotate as well. When they're going to say onto your east, you're not going to face east. Instead, you're just going to look at the east. Okay? This is why a lot of people get confused because they think that when they hear the word east, they're going to move east. Yeah. And then onto the left, they're going to say, and then so on. So this is for maps. Anyway, I'm going to be giving more examples, more tips when it comes to dealing with maps tomorrow. Okay, but this is mostly how to handle maps. Make sure that you're also part of their conversation in order for you to not get lost. And at the same time, when they're moving, okay, let's just say after east, let's say we're going to go down and then we're going to walk to the north, for example. Then imagine that you're also going to leave the tower and then walk towards the north. Right?
Okay, so okay. But it's not like I'm stuck at the tower.
Yes, but
moving on as it's saying. So if you go, because I know what you're saying. I remember this part. I got this part. Most of it is pretty straightforward, but sometimes, as you said, that you will, if you go along the pond, you are going to expect something, and then you're,
yeah, but don't worry about that. I just gave an example in that question booklet. You're not going to move from the tower. You're just going to stay on the tower.
But usually, you don't move from these compass type questions, maps. You're not moving.
No.
You're just okay.
No, but if there's no compass, for example, then it's just going to give purely directions.
Yeah.
And then, for example, once we once we pass this, we would see
I
this.
got was like some cities, and driving, and you're gonna come across this.
Anyway, okay, don't worry about that for now. As for diagrams, this time, you just need to follow the flow as well.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine. Next question type is fill in the form, like questions 1 to 6. It's the easiest one for me, actually. Personally, it's the easiest one for me to handle because I can take note of the headings. So in here, similarly, what you can do, take note of the headings. Do not spend a lot of time minding the other information that is already given because you don't need that to catch the answer. Instead, focus on number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. All right. Last one is a complete flow chart or table, similar to this, okay, but you have to use the headings as your advantage. Those are your clue, those are your guide. Okay, now one quick tip regarding here. If you miss on a few questions, okay, you don't need to panic. You just need to follow the CD. You just need to follow the audio. Okay. Sometimes wherein you would find yourselves dozing off, thinking about other things. You can't help it. Even for me, sometimes when I try and do some tests as well. Sometimes I'm thinking about my classes, my other classes, and then all of a sudden I find myself dozing off and then lost. If that's the case, do not worry, do not panic. If you miss on the questions, skip it for now. Focus on the next information. And that's it. Okay? Focus on getting back to what you're listening to now. Okay?
And if you leave it blank, it's error.
Yes. If you leave it blank, yeah. If you leave it blank.
So it's better to attempt.
Yes,
if
exactly.
The worst comes to worst, and just never leave anything blank.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly, because there's no negative marking as well. So make sure that if you miss in a few questions, attempt it as well. Try and guess, or most of the time, try your best to understand. It's okay. It's okay. Try your best to understand. Okay, what's missing? And then sometimes, most of the time, these questions are you can answer it logically. It'll be fine. Right? So there. Now this time, okay, what we can do, okay, as for we're going to continue the second part of your listening by answering and giving you some more tips. But I want you to do online on site is I will share the audio, okay,